everyone. This is a bit of a, I guess what you'd call a bit of a process video to show you how you can make some things in Shapelabs VR, because I've had a few people on Reddit and online asking how I made my T-Rex that I'm currently 3D printing out at life scale, and so I'm just going to I didn't record when I made it, obviously, but it's super easy to sculpt in virtual reality sculpting apps such as this, and so I'll give you a quick rundown on sort of how I went about making the T-Rex as such. So I started off with a sphere like this, and I'm just gonna we'll quickly get this into a bit of shape. So we'll bring this down as a picture I've found on the net, mainly just so that I'll use this one to give me the actual overall sort of get the scaling of it, sort of, or the proportions right I should say. So I'll kind of use this for positioning. So if I just sort of lock this here, click on this, move this over here, I've turned on a mirror plane, so if I edit or add anything here, it'll show it on both sides. So now we'll move this across here and just make it a bit smaller, like that. And if we go to the pull, just pull this out a little bit here. This is not going to be a very in-depth type of video for it. It's just going to give you a quick rundown on the processes of how you would go about making something like this, and show you how much easier it is to make things in VR than it is on a desktop-based app. So that's the head. So now what we want to do, if we want to say add more material for each segment, and then I obviously add a piece for each one, and then I'll go in on each piece and then add more and more detail to them. So I'll go to the stamp tool, and I'm just going to use this here for each backbone segment. So if I go, I just want to change the scale, we'll make it like a little biscuit, and I probably just need to leave it on mirror so that I can get it symmetrical, and then I could probably zoom the picture in a little bit more to get more detail, but I'm not going to go overboard at the moment because I'm not redoing the T-Rex as such, but I'm going to just give you a little bit of a demonstration as to how you could go about doing it. And obviously, and so on all the way down. You could, and if we're doing something like this, you could do this. For the legs, you just want to really add material that you can then manipulate around and change the mesh. And then I can go to this, I think it's this bottom poly transforms, and I'll just separate all these into their own layers for now. So if I apply that, then I can then select different segments. So we'll go back to the skull, and so I've moved it away from there, but that's alright. I'm just going to keep bringing it back occasionally to check on the scale of it. And now if we go back to, I'll add a bit more mesh around here. So we need some holes in for where the skull shape is. So what we'll do now is we'll get the stamp tool back again, and we'll double click it to go to the remove mode, and try and line that up roughly, and then we can usually just manipulate this around from there. Again, this is just a very, very basic sort of a rundown on the sort of way I went about making it. And I can come underneath here. We'll try and bring that right through if we can. Through there. Take that down through there. Maybe give him some nose. And we'll just smooth some of this out now. As you can see, it's using it in VR, the tools are so much more what's the word, intuitive and user friendly. I've just got the move tool here, I can just push and pull stuff around, and if I want to just regularize this down a little bit so I've got a bit more polys to play with. you sort of get the idea of like how quickly you can make, mesh and manipulate it to the shapes you want. And if I want to add teeth, I could add them as a new mesh. So what I'd probably do in that case then would be, I would maybe add that there, and then I would separate that. And so if I click on that, I'll probably want to make that the same as the other side. So what I'll do is I'll just Boolean join those two. So I'll click on that one, and union those together. So that's one layer. So now I want to make these the teeth. We'll give this as where the sort of the root of the teeth is going to come out from. This is just very roughing it out, and then obviously you spend time later going through and doing the details. So we want to see roughly the size of the teeth to the jaw shape. Again, I would probably make this a little bit bigger if I was going to carry on making this, because it makes it actually quite small for me at the moment here. And then you can go in and add a bit of smoothing to them, because see, it's a little bit messed up because of I was stretching quite a low poly shape out. Obviously it's very symmetrical doing it with the mirror mode on. So what I did after, and I quite often do it, is once I've got sort of a fair way through my model, so if I want to just add a bit of this detail to this, I can pull out a bit of shape to the I just need to get a bit more polys in here. Just narrow that up a little bit. And as you can see, you can pretty quickly start forming vertebrae and all sorts of things. And then, yes, just put a hole through here actually, back down to the ear. Oh, I'm not on that layer, of course. I've got to be on the right layer to do it. And so yeah, once you get off the symmetry, once you've finished your model, like you've done all your detail, you've shaped it all, then what I'd do is normally turn off the symmetry, turn off the mirror, and then you could add any sort of details you'd like. So then, like on this side, I could do some cracks or some cracks in the bone. Actually, I'll just undo that one. I've got to make that on this one. Put a couple of cracks through there, or we could use the pinch tool, which is sometimes actually better if you've got the strength of it on a little bit higher. And you can just add manual details, especially for 3D prints and that sort of thing. And yeah, so you can obviously see it's only doing one side, so if you're wanting to do symmetry, then you'd leave it back on the mirror, but or you could grab a section of it and you could crunch it a little bit or push or pull it so that it's not perfectly the same. It gives you a lot more of a realistic look. And say these were the hip bones here, which I've just laid down the base material. If I was gonna just get it roughly to scale there. Yep, and then I'll just drag this out roughly. Again, this is very, very rough. Like obviously I have turned off, I have to join that with that one if I wanted the symmetry to work on both sides. And I could build up this one here, I could build up material around the edge. switch to this brush. Build this up a bit more through here. And then we'll swap to this one. Yeah, it's not on the same layer, so it doesn't matter if symmetry's on. I've separated them too much, but that's alright. It's only a test or a demonstration. So to do the, say the what do you call it, the femur, the big thigh bones, we'll just push and pull and manipulate it around till we get the shape we want. Then we could always go to the smooth brush and change some of the shape of it, get it a little bit more rounded, and then go back to the push and pull move brush. That's a bit too strong, that one. Pull that through there. Where's the ball joint for the where it attaches to the socket on the hips. Go back to the move. I think we need a little bit more of a bone out here and a little bit less out of there. It's just, as you can see, just the way you use tools in VR makes it super easy to chop and change and make shapes. Like if I wanted to make, say, a rib there, I could just switch to this one here. Turn on symmetry. And maybe you can use this one maybe. You can drag it out that way. Or I usually find the move tools the most accurate for getting a nice controlled sort of an arc or a curve. We just smooth this and give it a few more polys to play with, because when it's a slow poly it starts stretching the vertices a little bit much, or the faces. And then we just need to round this end a little bit. You might just pull that in a little bit, pull that down and out. But this should give you a bit of an idea of how you'd go about making something like a T-Rex in Shapelabs. Pull that out if we want to get a little bit more curve in it. And it doesn't matter if there's a little bit of wobble or irregularity in it, because it's based on a fossil after all, so it can be a little bit of aging and damage to it, which can add to the look of it. And so that's basically it. Like, it's good having a side-on reference image to just give you a bit easier way to get the proportions right, because that's where I know I struggled a lot at the start, is trying to get things proportion, whereas it's so much easier having like a guide or a photo or something you can use as a reference material. But yeah, that's pretty much how you get into it. And then if you're wanting to add a lot of detail for say for 3D printing, Shapelabs is awesome because it's got these alphas you can use. I've made some of these ones I've found online and I've made myself. So see, this one here is like a whole lot of scratches and things, which if I go to, we need to get to the right layer first. You can see, like, if you were trying to do like layering, like scratch lines or weathering and that in it. What else have we got? We've got a scaling sort of one here. Kind of just you can either add material to it and it builds it up, or you can take it away. We've got, what else? We've got spots. And so if you're 3D printing stuff, this will definitely add like a bit more detail to it. Which this one? Try that one. It's a bit of roughness to it. I'm just going to change the... Normally if I'm sculpting, like if I was going to do this, I'd probably have it on this colour, because the black, satin black or matte black, whatever the texture is in Shapelabs, is my favourite one to sculpt with, because it makes stuff a lot easier to see. Looks more, shows the highlights on sculpt more, like you can see the highlights and the ridges and the low areas, as opposed to say white, which was quite bright and glary on the eyes. As I messed up some of the symmetry, you do all the symmetry stuff first normally before you'd swap to the non-symmetry. And I just rough it out to start with before you start adding all the extra little bits and pieces and details and that in. But anyway, you kind of get the idea of what's possible in Shapelabs and in virtual reality sculpting. So I'll try and do some more videos in the future if people are interested. We'll see. For now, catch you later.